Nitro is the glory,
but Ebuggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC Podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing races.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but Ebuggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to show number 320 of the No Name RC Podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, a.k.a. Lefty the Great. And it's a standalone interview today with Mr. Ryan Lutz, one of the nicest man, obviously probably I think the tallest man in RC. So we have a good chat with him. But before I do that, before we get into that, I just need to say some thank yous and shout outs to people. I want to say a big shout out to you guys out there, the NNRC squad. Without you guys, none of this is possible. Thank you. We finally hit 7,000 subs on the YouTube channel. Woo! Hip, hip, hooray. That's right, 7,000. Next, go 8,000. Help that channel grow. Obviously, I want to get to 10,000 by the end of the year, but I want to be realistic. Let's get to 8,000 by the end of the year or earlier and could continue on that upward spiral of getting 10,000 subs. If you haven't subbed, liked, or hit the notification button, please do that. It's absolutely free. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you guys for all the support. Also, a big shout out to the patrons of the NNRC and the YouTube members. You will get early perks such as early access to this great chat with Mr. Ryan Lutz. Also, we have some companies that support this podcast, and without them, none of this will be possible as well. Remember, showing the sponsor some love shows the podcast some love, and we do have a new sponsor. If you missed that announcement on the last podcast, a big shout out to J Concepts, our title sponsor. Good luck to all the J Concepts team. That we look forward to all the media they're going to produce at the Nationals this week. Also, a big shout out to High Tech RCD. They're running a Father's Day sale. Don't forget to check them out. Sidewinder Fuel, Latera Racing, Invisible Speed, ML Toys, Side Piece Racing. Also, a big shout out to our new sponsor, Dollar Harveys. We have a coupon code for that down there in the written description of the podcast. Elite RC Productions, RC Project, Mayako, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and Clinic RC. Don't forget, Get Shit Done Coffee as well. We have a coupon code down there. And of course, for all your cleaning needs, you can check out Car RC. We have a link down there with a coupon code where you can save some money. We have links and coupon codes, affiliate links for all of these companies in the written description of this podcast. I want to say a big thank you to them and a big thank you to all of you that support them and go there and purchase some items from it. It definitely helps us out here at the podcast. So a standalone interview this weekend with Mr. Ryan Lutz. I thought with all the hype over the Kyosho MP11, if you haven't checked out my Lefty Simple Thoughts on that, go check it out. If you haven't checked out Max going into science mode over it, you can check that out on show number 319, which was a great show. I really did enjoy that. We're gonna have Max come in here, I think, and do another Geek Out RC news and all that type of stuff. He's a busy man now, working and doing all that type of stuff. So I got Ryan Lutz in there. We had a chat last week, but what's going on right now? What's got me so excited is the 1/8 scale off-road nationals down there at Thornhill Racing Circuit in Hutto, Texas. Everybody's going there. I was watching everybody's traveling to the Nationals post, and it got me so making me want to be there. Trust me, I wish I was there. I'm not, but I will be watching online. I do believe by the time this comes out, Live RC will have their coverage up and running. Everything will be on Live RC. We got almost a whole week of RC to go. I am going to be glued to my TV. There might even be some live shows after the races. Who knows how I feel? We're going to be doing some cool stuff, but I know we're going to have a great recap of the Nationals. I love the Nationals. Dream Shadow Race. And what makes it even better, it's a world's qualification Nationals, and the Worlds is going to be at the same track next year. So I can't wait. I will be getting to go to the Thornhill facility, but it will be next year for the World Championships. But we have a little chat with Ryan Lutz. He's obviously raced at this track quite a few times. We talk about that. We talk about how close he came to being out of RC as a professional driver, or maybe doing it part-time. We talk about his move to Kyosho, traveling, balancing life and home, nutrition, all this good stuff. It's always a good chat with Ryan Lutz. He was one of the first pros to actually support the podcast. So I want to say thank you. If you want to go listen to some of the other podcasts we've had on him, I think it was episode number 10, which is an audio-only podcast that he was on. And he's been on a few more times. So a big shout out to Ryan Lutz for all his support with the podcast, all the great work he's been doing with Kyosho. And we greatly appreciate him coming on and giving us some time. He is a busy man. He has 4 children. So I appreciate his time. We want to thank you guys all for the continued support. We hope you enjoy this podcast. No commercials for you guys, just straight interview. Thank you to all the sponsors that support this. And let's have a chat with Mr. Ryan Lutz. Joining me in the booth today is a gentleman who's been on this podcast quite a few times. And if you don't know who he is, I don't have to introduce you to him. It's the tallest man in RC and one of the nicest men in RC. And probably one of the nicest men people have met in my life, Mr. Ryan Lutz. How are you, sir?
Hey, Keenan, thank you. I'm doing really good. Glad to be on the podcast again. Thanks for having me. And just wanted to say, I really enjoyed your quick little synopsis of the resurgence of Kyosho that we saw on YouTube yesterday. That was really awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I came to you for a few comments. I hope I got things right. I know I got some dates mixed up. And it hurt my RC soul to make that. Right, because I'm a Mugen guy through and through.
Mugen guy, yeah.
But I generally feel that way with Kyosho, right? And I think it's a good thing because I thought they were going to be gone as a racing brand,
right?
And I credit you to a lot of the growth and everything. You, amongst many other things, to the growth that we now see in the USA. I know in Europe it's still a popular chassis. I know you just came back from the Masters over there. I want to touch on that as well. Let us not forget that because that was a very interesting track. And I think it's up to you. Been up to you. Kind of what I thought was going to happened once you got involved. And I want to say congratulations to you, man, because there is a chance we might not even be having this conversation at some point, and we'll talk about that.
Sure.
So I wanted to say some things first. First off, I went back and looked at the podcast that you have been on. You was on episode number 10. You was doing audio only. You was our 10th guy. You was on for the DX when you was on Agama and you won the DXR race, which many people might not even know about nowadays, but it was an awesome race where you beat Ongaro at the old what is the Ebuggy venue, which might be coming back next year, which looks awesome. Right. And then I have another one with you. So I think that's the last one I did with you was 2022. So you hadn't joined Kyosho, or 2021. I can't remember. And of course, you've helped me out we've always spoke to each other. You're always available for interviews and a chat at the races and doing track walks. But I also wanted to say thank you because you were like one of the first top pros when we started this crazy thing that is the NNRC podcast. You were one of the first top pros to endorse it, to get behind it. And that was a big push, right? So thank you for the support. I know some of the things we say on her, you may not agree with. Hell, we've criticized you on her as well, and not criticized you, but looked at your state of racing and all that stuff. But I appreciate that you took, and other people weren't endorsing it, and we were in the real radical days of the NNRC, radical. But you stuck by our side. You was always available for interviews. So I just wanted to say thank you because you was one of the first persons to endorse us and give us some legitimacy.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and I'm happy to help out and kind of grow the hobby. Obviously, this has become a really cool platform to get information out to the RC industry and people looking into the industry, and I think it's great.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're not going to go into how you got involved in RC and all that stuff. If you want to find all of that, you can go listen to episode 10. There's lots of things about your history in RC. We're going to talk about what's been going on lately. But we're going to start off with one thing. I haven't talked to you since you made the move to WRC. And then you move to Kyosho. What people don't know is that in between that Agama move and that WRC move, you almost legitimately went out of RC and was getting a real job. I guess my first question would be, how close was you to getting a real job, and what was you going to do?
Yeah, it absolutely was. There wasn't much left to go to in the industry at that time. I had reached out to a few options, and everything was already. It was pretty late in the season, so I okay, well, maybe I'll go work for UPS. That was my goal, to do the winter season as a driver or a helper to deliver the packages during the holiday season. So I went through all the training for that, and actually drove down to Columbus, about a 2-hour drive for the final training and the in truck final test, and passed all that, got my certificate or whatnot to do that, my uniform. And then the next day I got an offer to drive for WRC at the time, and to work with a guy who was going to import the cars into the US. And so I got to stay in RC.
Dude, so was it exciting to you to kind of I call it real world because I called it real world. Was it intimidating to go out there and go to a real world job? I mean, it's also guaranteed money, guaranteed insurance, guaranteed benefits, and all that stuff. It's kind of the stuff you don't have in the RC community and the RC world security. So what was going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, it's a lot of change, a lot of unknowns. It was just going to be a temporary thing because they hire extra people for the holiday season, the holiday push. And so it was going to be, a temporary, try it out, see if it works. And then also if they hire you on after that or not to keep you. So it would have been still some more unknowns until maybe after the holiday season to see if it would have been a permanent thing or not. But yeah, it was lots of just unknowns as it is now. Year to year, every contract is generally a 1 or 2 year thing. So after that, you're re-signing, renegotiating, and figuring it all out again. So it's kind of been my whole career. There's not a ton of stability, but a lot of my sponsors actually I've had for 10 to 15 years. So I try to work with the companies and the ones that work with me, and we have that relationship that can keep going. And I think Kyosho could have been that back in the past as well, just because of how they are, how I am. It just didn't work out, something that happened back in 2010. So that's why I had to go through all these different chassis changes, which has made it every year a little bit of a challenge.
I'm going to ask you what happened in 2010. Can we talk about it?
I might be actually a couple years off. It was 2008, actually. Yeah, 2008, because basically Brandon Rohde, who started Live RC, was working for Kyosho at that time, and are kind of working with them. And he went with Joel Johnson, who was the president of Kyosho America at the time, to Japan for a meeting, and they were talking about the Kyosho international team for the following year. And they brought up Cody King. They wanted to put him on the international team, and then Brandon spoke up for me. He's like, "What about Ryan?" At the time, I was the team manager for Kyosho America. And they said, "Oh, he works for us. We don't need to put him on that." And that was kind of my goal. That was everybody's goal who wanted to be on Kyosho, be on the international team, to be able to go to all the international events and the Kyosho Masters and whatnot. And when they said that, and I heard that, I'm just like, they don't care about me enough in the racing aspect of it. So I sought out a different avenue and went to Tamiya.
That's right. I forgot that you raced Tamiya. I forgot all about that. Wow. You just brought up memories. Tamiya. Wow.
Right.
Tamiya was a viable racing platform at one point, in the off-road community. But you're back kind of where we got to see you. 2008 was some the good. I wouldn't say good old days, but good days of 1/8 scale racing. I remember you traveling a lot with Kyosho at that time. Well, just putting in the work. You wasn't really. You was developing your brand. You was a young man. You was getting into it and all that type of stuff. So I remember that, right? I remember you meeting Francis, because that's our one thing that we have in connection is Captain Kyosho. Francis is my friend here in the DR, who's Kyosho forever. So I know you're really good friends with him and whatnot. And I think you even went to a few. Did you ever come down to Puerto Rico for an RC Pro race? I think that's where you met. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. RC Pro Series. Sorry. That's another.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking of making a video, another Lefty Simple Thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts in my head, and that's going to be probably my next thing, like a series in RC, right?
Okay.
So
I enjoyed that RC Pro Series. I thought he did a pretty good job with it, trying to combine the whole country and let them race in their regions, bring them together for a finals. And I thought the concept was good. Yeah.
And he was a one-man show, Carlton Epps. One-man show. So I need to see. Somebody said he's still, obviously he's not an RC, but that's somebody I knew Carlton personally, and I would love to reach out to him and see what's up and see what he thinks about RC nowadays. But that's a good time. Good days. 2008 and all those times and all that stuff. So we're gonna go fast forward. So you're at WRC. That was a tumultuous year for you. I know it wasn't easy. It was kind of like a one-man team. It was difficult. There was a lot of stuff going on in the background too. I know about all of that. We're not going to get into all of that, but there was a lot of stuff going on into the background behind the scenes at WRC. And actually, at one point, I thought WRC was in a good place, right? A very good place. And I don't know if it was prior to you getting on there. I can't remember or whatever. But now it's going to be a struggle for them, in the US, especially in a market so inundated with chassis brands, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, WRC that whole year was tough because it wasn't as simple as some of the other chassis deals I've had in the past. It wasn't sponsored directly from the factory per se. It was actually the guy who was going to import them into the US. That's the one that picked me up and
Raul
offered me. Yeah,
I remember.
No, he wasn't. Well,
was it not Raul?
A friend with him, but he wasn't the guy bringing him in. And so he was the guy that was going to be, paying me the travel and whatnot. And throughout the year, the money wasn't consistent how it came in. And then I would get parts from Italy, but they weren't really part of my travel program or making sure that, I was making a living at it. So it was just difficult on the back end that people they don't see. And I tried the best I could with the car, but it just, without having the support and just everything falling apart around it, it just wasn't a great year for sure.
I know. So I guess near the end of that year, well, hold on. Before we go any further, did you see that video by Tagessi the other day? The Italian guy, the Italian YouTuber guy?
I didn't see the video though. No.
Okay, so he's signed with it's work now, WIRC. I assume they changed the name from WRC because of trademark.
World Rally Cross.
World Rally Cross. World Rally Championship. He drives for him now. He's like a Italian YouTube guy. He drove HB for a while, right? He's a popular YouTuber and he does all his videos in Italy in Italian. He did a tour of the facility for WRC because it's always been a speculation. Are they made in Italy? Are they made over in Asia? I still believe they're made in, but they had stuff like they were producing stuff. So I guess my question is, are they producing that car in Italy or is it a mix between Asia and then they're fine tuning it over in Italy?
I think it was mostly done in Italy. Obviously, the son of the owner raced in Formula 2, the full size stuff. So, they had the backing and everything. They definitely have the ability, I think, to make it.
It was a pretty interesting tour of the facility. So that's what got me thinking. So I thought I would ask you that as well. So let's fast forward, coming to the end of your time at WRC. Now, do you have Kyosho secure, or is it another, I might be going out and working in the real world type of situation?
Yeah, the latter again. I kind of reached out to most other chassis initially, and again, there just really wasn't much at the end of that year. It was in the COVID years, so it was kind of a struggle for a lot of people. And I think it was early December maybe that I reached out to Patoshi, who owns Kyosho America now, or runs it, president of it. And he was with Kyosho back in 2006 through 2008 when I was there. And so we've always kept in contact. And I just messaged him. I'm like, because he had offered me actually 2 years prior to come back to Kyosho. And I declined because I was already staying with Agama for the second year at that time. And so this was 2 years later. And I'm like, is that offer still on the table to come back? And he's like, yes, actually great timing. And it worked out.
That brings up a good topic too. What happened at Agama? Because you had a fairly decent 2 years there, but we didn't really see the traction. I remember I went to PMB. I think it was 2019. It was the year that the JQ Racing team had the whole. That's when we was able to pit in the arena, and we had that whole side pitted over there, and it was like you, Billy, and Abba, because Abba's from Bermuda, and he was a Agama guy. And I remember Billy coming over and saying, "You don't even have a pro drive, and look what you have her." I was like, it was it was a lot. That was that was a good time in my life doing that stuff, and it got me into the industry. But it was probably one of the hardest jobs I ever had, being a team manager. But
setting up all those tents and tables and chairs and coordinating all that at every event. Yeah,
and dealing with so many different personalities on a 24/7 basis, and of course dealing with our good friend JQ. That's probably why my beard is so great. Because when I met JQ, it was just a little salt and pepper, and I've gotten older, but he's put on a lot of these gray hairs on my beard.
No doubt.
What happened at Agama? Just ran out of money?
That was kind of the COVID years also. And then they, for a while, when we had, I think, the best results, the product wasn't there. They didn't have availability of product. And so we couldn't capitalize on selling it. And so that was just, it was like a bad timing mashup, and it just fell apart after that. Yeah.
And I don't even think there's a Nemo America no more, because Billy seems to be right out of it now. Billy Tylask. I like Billy. He never smiled, but I like Billy.
Right.
He wears his heart on his sleeve. He ain't scared to tell you how he feels. And unfortunately, that doesn't work in the team manager role in RC. So, but I always like Billy. I like his thinking and all that type of stuff. All right. So Kyosho, was you excited when this started? Okay, I should say, what were the talks between you and Kyosho? Like, what were some of the goals when you first got with Kyosho? Because I kind of thought you was going to fall into more of a team manager type role. I don't, maybe you are to an extent, but I think you did about a year on your own as their top driver. And then you guys got, maybe 2 years, because you got bumped on the team at the end of 2023, if I'm not, into 2023.
I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 years on my own, but yeah. Well, actually, we had Spencer Klein too. He obviously doesn't race or travel as much anymore, but he was there that first year, I think. And but no, it was just, they wanted me to do what I've been doing, just be helpful on the internet, creating videos, content, and just helping to create setup sheets for the cars, and show them at all the big races again. Get some results, and there wasn't anything specific like to be a team manager or anything else. It was like, go be a driver and do what you've been doing.
Cool. Now, you were at Kyosho kind of still when it was, I hate to say relevant, but still to its 2007, 2008, it was still a major brand. Like when I say major, like people, I don't think people who are kind of just getting into RC would never really, we'll never see the dominance that we saw with Kyosho back in those times, in the 90s, the early 2000s up to the 2010s, where you would go to a track and you just, it would, in the early, in those times, in those 2000s, it was mostly Kyosho and Yugen. There was a few brands. So when you got into Kyosho this time, what was was there anything different? Because one of my things I said was, I think Kyosho relied on legacy too much for a long time. Like, we're an 8-time world champion and all that type of stuff. And I think that's one of the good things. Yes, you still have that legacy. You will never be erased that, but it's not the focus, right? So maybe tell me, what were some of the things that you maybe noticed that were different when you came back after such a hiatus from the brand, from 2008 to 2022?
I guess, kind of what you're saying. Back then there was only just the 3, 4, 5 major brands at that. And so it was much easier to have a larger market share of the cars at the races. So when I was the team manager there, we'd go to an event and we'd have 4, 5, 6 tents and 30 people under them, and it would be packed out. And so now obviously I'd be coming back and I'm the only one at the race, or one of just a couple drivers, and we have 1 tent maybe, or no tent, and just using whatever's available at the track. And so trying to build it back up, show the image again at the track, at the races, that the Kyosho can still be competitive at the events. Obviously for a couple of years there, people were saying the car wasn't competitive anymore. And I think some of it might have just been no one to develop the setup and get it right. And so like when I came out, signed in for 2022, went out to the DNC and finished like top 5 in 2 of the classes, and TQ'd around in E-Truggy, I think, in the last round. This is, had the car for a month. So just kind of, the car still had the pace and the ability, just needed the right setup, I think.
I mean, since you've joined them, your results have been impressive, and rejuvenated your career, I say all the time. All right. I know I'm retracting, but you said Kyosho International and then you have Kyosho America, and then you have Kyosho Europe. Maybe you can explain to myself and the people listening what's the difference between those three organizations, because it's similar to Mugen, if I'm not mistaken. They have a Mugen Seiki main company, Mugen America, and then Mugen Europe.
As far as I know, just like the international team, especially back in the 2006 to 8 range when I was there, was the guys that got to travel the world to all the major events. You know, they would go to the Kyosho Masters, and they would go to, you know, from America, they'd go to a European race or so, something big. And like if it was just Kyosho America, you're kind of just a regional guy or just the US. And so that international team, that's what you want to be on. You want to be able to go to all the big events everywhere, wherever they may be. And so now I'd say, you know, the international team, I don't know if they even have really what they call an international team anymore, but Kyosho America, every once in a while, we'll work with Kyosho Japan, who will have us go to the Kyosho Masters like we did, you know, last week, or have us all go to the Worlds. And then Kyosho Europe, I think, is the primary one that takes care of Ricardo and Savoya and Marco. And yeah.
And you know what? Savoya, to an extent, Kyosho has rejuvenated his career. Obviously, he's not getting the results that he used to be. And for people that don't know, Savoya is a 3-time European champion, World's finalists. You know, he's no slouch, but he's able to, I mean, he's been making mains with the Kyosho. He's not making every main, but I think he's kind of fell back into a more type of working with Kyosho Europe because it's in France and supporting the team and doing things there. I actually reached out to him for some information about this as well. We're going to have him back on her because it's been a while since he's been on her as well. But you know, Kyosho's always been good in Europe to an extent. Maybe not to the extent that it was years ago, but it has a strong following in France. It has a loyal following around the world, right? But it dwindled quite a lot in the USA. Obviously, we have so many different chassis, the sponsorship game, all that type of stuff. Once you got involved in Kyosho, how much longer after that did you start to see some changes and starting to see more cars coming around? Because it kind of like having you there rallied the troops in the USA. Because Mr. Hanneman came to me about 2 years ago and he goes, you know, Lefty, I heard you think that Kyosho is going to be bankrupt or we're not going to be here no more, but I'm going to let you know that the resurgence is real. Like he was the one who told me about that. So shout out to Mr. Eric Hanneman, by the way. So how long after joining Kyosho did you start seeing that type of switch?
I think right away had a lot of people that, you know, Kyosho, like we've said, has a really loyal following too. So guys that have been in it since the late 2000s, they stuck with Kyosho. A lot of people that go to Kyosho stick with Kyosho for life. And so a lot of them kind of were reaching out to me like, so happy I came back. And then almost like they started racing more in a way. And so there's a couple pockets in the US that are very big on Kyosho, like Eric, he's in Indiana, his region. They got a number of Kyosho drivers that race in that Midwest area. And so there's pockets that are really popular. And then, you know, started showing some results. And Little Bump comes on. And then he kind of has a lot of guys that follow him in the South and starting to show that, you know, young kid, old guy, both go fast with the car and
very fast.
Make a good team. And I think people are just excited to have us race in the car so they have somebody to root for at the races. I think that's a big part of having a pro on the events is because you have somebody to root for and it excites you to go race and try their setups or whatnot. And yeah, more and more people are coming on board and enjoying the car. It's known to be easy to drive. So I think that's something that people really look forward to.
How is it with Bump? I've known him for many years. He's 14. We all put this pressure on him and be the next Masami and all that stuff. And I'm like, no, just let him be a kid and enjoy life and do RC cars. I like him. I like his dad. I think he's incredibly fast. He's getting older. His voice has changed. He's getting taller than his dad. You know, and he's growing up in front of us, right? How is it working with him?
It's great. You know, he's super calm and chill for the most part and well-mannered, absolutely. And it's been good. John's pretty good at setup. They struggle to get to the track enough because they're in Louisiana. They have to drive 8 hours, say, to Thornhill or to Mike's in Houston. So they don't have any really good tracks to test that really, really local to them. So it's rare for them to get much track time, but as they've learned the car, his dad's pretty good at setup because he's been around RC forever, and he left Kyosho back 20, 30 years ago as well. So he was really excited to be on Kyosho. And so it's been really good to have them having kind of eyes that he can watch Bump's car and make setup changes. And a lot of what works for Little Bump actually works for me too. And we can kind of share setups and work with each other really well.
Yeah. Have you ever heard John's story? Have you talked to him about him coming to America and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's man, it's
insane.
It's insane. It's you don't know what's going on with people in other countries, but I'm glad to see them going over to Vietnam, right? That's a country I want to visit so bad. It looks so beautiful. I want to go there. So he's going over there and he's racing and all that type of stuff. And it's good to see because he's got to see his home country, right? And
yeah,
I'm sure
they've been doing a world tour recently. They went to Vietnam and then they went to Japan, visited Kyosho Corporation in Japan, and they went to South Korea for a couple of days, then flew to the Kyosho Masters in France, and then went back to Vietnam for a week, and they'd probably coming home maybe like right now.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
I like Fee. I like the wins, Fee Long, and I'm trying not to call him Little Bump too much anymore because he's not little no more. He's getting big. So you gotta find a new nickname for him. I like the what did I call him? I can't remember. I gave him a name the other day. Something samurai or something ninja. I can't remember. I don't know. Me and my nicknames, I got them confused. I have to go back and look at that post. But good. I like Bump. I like him. I like him and his dad. I like what you guys got going on. He's fast. He had a good Silver State second. You know, that seems to be his race.
Yeah.
He's really good at Silver State. Really good at
That's
that.
good
race.
there. Yeah.
And good stuff.
He'll
Good
be
stuff.
good at Thornhill too, I think.
Oof,
You know,
that's
yeah,
next
he'll be
week.
good at Thornhill. Yep.
Oh, great segue. I know we're bouncing all around the place. Next week, as we're recording this, it's Wednesday. You're headed out next Monday for the Nationals. First time we're having a Nationals with everything combined. I think this is good. I think this is great. Yes, it's a few extra days. No, you're staying the same time that you would as a regular.
It's like one extra day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's a good move by Raw to combine everything?
I think in the situation, because the turnout was going to be so low for the electric portion of it, then yeah, it probably is a good move. Potentially, how they split it and have the three classes: Ebuggy, E-Truggy, and Nitro Truck the first 3 days, and then Nitro Buggy the last 3 days. Maybe that's just saying maybe that should be how our nationals are split. Have two different events: have Nitro Truggy, Ebuggy, E-Truggy at one nationals, and then Nitro Buggy have its own. And then have that more of like a world's format for the Nitro Buggy.
Maybe. So you get more track. Yeah, I could see that. I think it's just coming out to the companies, they can't commit to the travel of both events, right? Combined with all the other races that we have going on, because it's so many big contingency races out there. And look, I love the Nationals. As much as I may not be happy with Raw, I love the Nationals, right? I think it's necessary. I think it's the heartbreak race like this. If you want to see where you're at in the RC scene, you go to the Nationals. I call it the dream shattering race because that's where you really stand. Or if you go to a Worlds, but a Worlds format is different, right? 10-minute practice runs. I know it's 10-minute qualifiers, right?
Right.
Yeah, 10-minute qualifiers. What was it? 10-minute qualifiers last year? No, they dropped it last year. I can't remember. I have so much stuff going through my brain. I forget things.
I do too. Getting old.
Yeah, that too. So you're saying you still would like to see it as two separate events, if possible?
Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes this week, but I know they posted the schedule for the first 3 days with the 3 classes, and it's going to be 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. that first day at least. So it's a 13-hour day straight, like pushing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to worry about rain.
Unless it comes in sideways, which is possible in Texas.
Which is possible.
Yeah. But no, it should be good. Thornhill, obviously, they've been doing this forever. They've held multiple nationals over the last decade, so they'll do a great job.
I was talking to some racers there, seeing that it was abnormal tire wear at this race. And like the traction was insane from what I've been talking to guys. What's your thoughts? Have you talked to anybody about it? I'm sure you
I haven't, but I definitely watched that race pretty closely, just kind of seeing what the guys who won their heats and whatnot, when they came off, what they said about their tires or what they ran. So just trying to keep track of all that and just seeing how the grip looked, how their cars were handling corners. And it definitely looked pretty high for Thornhill. So
Yeah, because Thornhill's a enigma, right? I remember the year that you got disqualified. I think it was in the semi and Truggy.
no, it was in the A.
It was in the A. You won
I
it,
finished second.
but they DQ'd you because you actually wore your tires so much. But it was a different track. It was like I want to use the word slippery. It was smooth,
It's glossy.
Glossy. That's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, it gets
Lots of
glossy.
tires.
It's a little shiny, a lot of tire wear. Yeah. So yeah, I ran impacts and gridirons. Impact front, gridiron rear. I started the race, I think 33 grams overweight, because back then the weight limit for Truggy was 4,000 grams,
Mhm.
and ended the race 15 grams under. And it was all tire wear because I mounted a full set of impacts, a full set of gridirons, and I ran impacts front, grid rear. So I still had a fresh set of impact front, grid rear. So I was able to measure both sets afterwards, and it was 50-gram different.
Yeah, I remember that. People were speculating maybe a weight fell off your car or something like that, because the truck is, you have to put a lot of weight on them. I don't know. I haven't checked the rules for trucking in so long.
Well, right after that race, they dropped the weight limit about 100 grams down to 3,900. Yeah.
Okay. You know what else I was thinking about the other day when I was making that video? It was 2017 at State Line, the Nationals. When if the rules were followed, you would have won. If the rules were followed, you would have had a national title.
Right.
But
yep,
it's a mixed feeling because, to be fair, Tebow he won it. But
right.
So for people to know, in 2017, Tebow's lap counter transponder stopped counting about at the halfway mark. I think it was. Yeah. And that was a rough track too. Oof, I remember that.
Ooh. Yeah, we were running medium enduros, I think.
Enduros.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was really forgiving because it was really grabby, and then there was just huge holes. It was challenging track.
It was very challenging. That's the year that we had to Mayfield smashed the radio, man. He was yeah. I think that was the start of him not making the Nationals for like 3 years straight. Not making the national finals 3 years straight. Because he didn't make it that year, he didn't make it 2018, he didn't make it 2019.
Okay.
He in the
semi that he did the radio. Okay.
So the semis, he popped the engine in 2017. 2018 in Florida, I think he flamed out in the semi. And then in 2019, he had some diff issues or something, like some mechanical issues, but not engine issues. So yeah, that was a three rough nationals for Mayfield. All right. So there have been some changes in your program as well. I want to talk about invisible speed because a lot of people were shocked when this partnership happened between you and JQ, because if there are two complete, total opposite personalities, it's you and JQ, right? So a lot of people were like, this isn't going to work. And I'm like, no, it's going to work because you have the patience of Job to deal with JQ. Maybe talk about that, because you was I don't know how involved you are in invisible speed now. I know you're selling the books and you're involved. I know things are kind of backed off on the course a little bit because obviously he's busy. But how was it working with Joseph and the invisible speed? And maybe tell people how beneficial you think that in getting maybe the book and doing this is for people and who are who want to make their racing better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I appreciate most about Joseph is him willing to be putting out all this content and information. And the book is the best resource I think that we have right now in RC, just for learning setup and just getting into the mind of an engineer that has developed his own cars, and just gives you great ideas of what you can make changes, what those changes should do. And I really appreciate that he's done that. And then the videos that he makes, minus words that he uses sometimes, are great resources and information. And so obviously I don't agree when he goes off on tangents, but overall his message of being able to helping people, I really appreciate that and have no problem helping with that.
Yeah, I mean, did it help you as well? Did you learn from the book and learn from him?
Yeah, for sure. Because like I would get stuck in setup rut, I would call it. I'd start setting up my car, get it good for myself, and then kind of very small deviations from there. But then it's like that's where I'm stuck. And so if we go to different tracks, sometimes I won't try something because I'm like, it didn't work at this last race, or I haven't tried that in so long, I'm just not willing to try it. But then when you open the book and you see like what he says it's going to do, and it's a little bit different than how I thought it worked, okay, maybe I'll try it again. Or at a couple events that he was at, the Silver State a couple years ago, he watched my car. So having somebody that can watch your car that knows what they're doing and make some suggestions, and there were things I hadn't tried in years, and they worked great. And so then you build that trust of he knows what he's doing, knows what he's looking at, and yeah, just trying new things and kind of opening up the setup window again.
Yeah, JQ is a very brilliant person, but he's also a very confusing person. That's the best word I can use for it. He's even though I worked with him for many years, I've learned not to let him piss me off too much, but he still gets under my skin now and then. But I've learned to do it. But man, I think I believe that JQ one day will get the credit for what he's done for RC racing. I know he says he doesn't want it, but even though he likes to talk about what he's done, but what JQ's done with that book, and 2 books, because they're both great books, and no matter what you think about the guy, you may not like him, you may not like his what he says and all that stuff, but the knowledge in those books and the knowledge that he has, it doesn't matter. It applies. And I tell people all the time, instead of spending $100 on, I don't know, whatever, silly stuff, spend $100 on the book, get some knowledge, learn, go watch his videos. If he gets the course is brilliant, but the course, it's a hard sale, right? Because it takes time to people to sit down and do it. But people have benefited from the course. I know he was deeply involved in that as well. I think if anybody wants to really improve their RC game, there's no other product out there that will help you more than getting knowledge. And that's what that book is full of, knowledge. So shameless plug. Are you still selling them at lutzinator.com?
Yes, except for the last couple of weeks actually sold out, and he's having more made, I think, at the moment. So probably sold out for about a month.
Yeah. So that's good. Sell out. I need to get another one. Mine got this, not that I read them, but I've heard JQ say it. I'm not worried about setup. I just want to have fun on the track. But if you are, I think it's for any racer at any level. Get that book, carry it with you, take it with you, because you'll be flipping through it and trying to look for things, and put your head down and read it, because that's what's going to make you faster. Learning how to set up your car and do things like that. All right. Yep. Let's move forward. So one of the changes that you had coming into 2025 was your departure from AKA, which is how you say it, not AKA like a lot of people know, but AKA, which means red. That I found out from you.
Right. Because AKA started under the Kyosho umbrella. So Kyosho tasked Mark Pavidis and Gil Losi, who were working for them in a way, to create a new brand. And so they created AKA. So Japanese, red, Kyosho Red Army and whatnot. And so that's where it came from. And that was 17 years that I was running for AKA or AKA. That was a big change.
It was. How did I assume you knew that was coming at some point, because
there were so many rumors.
Yeah. So how did that all end? Did they just say, hey, like, we're not doing this no more? I mean, Horizon kind of disbanded their whole team, TLR team. Right. So I don't see how. I mean, there's a few pro line guys out there now, but I don't think there's any top guy running AKA right now, AKA in the USA anyway.
Right. Basically, all their paid guys, they just cut it. Said, we're not going to be doing that anymore for now. You're welcome to stay on as a full product guy, but we're not going to have any kind of salary or anything anymore.
Oh, so you got that same option that Fenn and those guys got. You got that same ultimatum.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, tell us about joining Rossby, because I happen to think that Jason Snyder's a smart dude. He's probably one of the most surprising. If you haven't it's an audio only interview with him. It's one of my more popular interviews. It was a great chat with him. And we talk, him and I talk now and then, we have some conversations. But tell us about that. Joining Raw Speed, another small company, but passionate.
Yeah, Jason's awesome. I've raced with him since, again, back in the late 2000s. He's from Chicago area, so about 8 hours from where I'm at, and a couple races that I went to in the region, he was at, and we'd talk back in the day. And so we've talked off and on throughout the decade and a half. And we actually talked about running for him probably 4 or 5 years ago when AK was kind of going through some of its struggles. But my loyalty won out to stick with AK as long as I could. But with that ending, he was kind of one of the main ones I wanted to reach out to. Just his passion for it, his ability to make it in-house. So he's got all the equipment, he's got all the machines, makes his own molds and everything here in the US. And so be able to go to his factory and workshop and help design stuff or be able to test stuff quickly, and just having quick access to that is a far departure from what I had at AKA. And it's kind of exciting because he's already got some new compounds we're testing, some new tread patterns we've tested and had success with the new triad. And yeah, just moving forward, it's a lot more opportunity.
And he's a racer, right? He's out there testing stuff and doing things out there in California.
He likes the club race, yeah. He likes having fun still. Yep.
Short Course World. If you haven't checked out that YouTube channel, that's how we met Jason Snyder. He's a YouTuber turned manufacturer. And I think it was SIC was on fire. You TQ'd. Did you TQ Nitro Buggy?
Might. I don't remember exactly. I know I TQ'd one of the classes and I was running right up there. Yeah.
Yeah. You would think that I call these races that I will remember this stuff, but I don't. It's so much information going through my head. I can't remember.
You would think I go to these races and I race them and I don't. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I think it's a good mix. It's a good fit for Raw Speed, a good fit for you. It's not a very popular brand. We don't see it that much, but I think with your help and you running it, we can start to see it maybe grow in the USA and grow elsewhere, because you do have a following, and I think it's a great fit. You both can work together. You and him know each other, and he speaks very highly of you. So, and you speak highly of him. So it's a good fit.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know this first year is kind of going to these events, building the baseline of the compounds that we need, the tires that we need, and then at the end of this year, because I didn't announce my signing until January 1st. Obviously, any other top drivers have already got their contracts done for the year. So now this year we can kind of look and maybe add somebody for next year, kind of build the team and whatnot for next year.
Okay, awesome. Well, I wish you guys all the luck, because I like Snyder. I like him a lot. I need to get him back on this podcast and have a good chat with him as well. And traveling. So we want to get to that. You've been doing, over the last couple of years, you've been doing a lot of traveling. You've been going over. I admire it, because not a lot of the Americans go over to these countries to race. You've been to the Philippine Masters. You went to Australia. You went to New Zealand. Did you go to Indonesia too?
No.
Okay. So you've been going to this. No Philippine Masters for you this year. Are you planning on? And then, did you go?
Yeah, I went there instead of Silver State. Yeah.
That's right. See how we forget things? It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
Tell us about those trips. Tell us about that. I really think they got something good going over there at the Asian Buggy Championship.
Yeah, Scotty Ernst is putting those events on and does an absolutely great job, obviously, with his announcing and promoting the events. They have great media coverage as well, pictures, video, everything. And that Asian Buggy, or the Philippine Masters itself, specifically, the track's amazing. It's they use oil, and there's like no tire wear, or very little. There's very little chassis wear, if any, but yet you have really high grip. But because of the oil, the grip isn't traction rolly grip so much. There's a tiny bit of slip initial in a way, to where it's kind of like a best of both worlds. And I mean, they don't change the layout so much. They had just one little change from the previous year, but the driver stand's huge. The track's great size. You got tons going on all around it. Beautiful little setting, and just a lot of fun. It's a really good event. And they've brought in, Angaro's come both years that I've been there. A number of top drivers from Europe and a couple other places, a couple from America sometimes. So it's been great.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be there next year. It's moving. I'm told.
Yeah.
Now, I'm told that it's moving like 2 hours away. Is that true? Have you heard anything about that?
I don't know the distance or not, but I think it's still pretty close to Manila.
Okay.
But the location should be really nice in a resort area, I believe.
Nice. It's one of my bucket. It's a race I want to go to. Philippines is a country I want to visit and spend some time there. I worked with lots of Philippine workers when I worked in Abu Dhabi and over there in Doha, Qatar, when I was working below the ground, underground, and just great people. I love them, smart, and I have a lot of Filipino friends that I work with, and I met them when I was. I really want to go to that race, and the track is amazing. Like I think it's an Asian track. That's when I think of Asia tracks. That is it. Like if you think back to the Scenic days, that Scenic track, that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone to that one. That thing looked insane.
It
was like a minute lap time.
Yeah, Savoia. I think that's one of the best videos I've seen. Savoia going around that track. I wouldn't be able to do a lap around that track.
Right.
It's so hard.
It would take a lot of practice time.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on. Alpha. What's going on with Alpha? I call it your engine brand, but it's not. It's you've been the biggest representative of it for many years. Maybe tell us a little bit about what they're doing over there.
Yeah, I've been the importer into the U.S. for the last 4 or 5 years, and I was prior to that 4 years earlier for about 5 years. So it's been about 10 years in total that I've imported the Alpha brand into the U.S. And right now they just came out with their Alpha Falcon Spec B for better. And basically they're actually hand modifying it at the factory, the crankshaft and sleeves. They have a new coating on the crankshaft where they're really not wearing at all anymore, which is really nice. And then their material of the piston now, the compression lasts forever. It's like you're never going to have to, you almost never need it repinched or anything. It lasts and lasts and lasts. So reliability and durability wise, they've gotten amazing. Mileage has gotten steadily better. Still not where I'd want it, but how much of that, some of that is due to my finger. And, some of it, they could still probably improve on the mileage part, but overall the power, performance, and everything has gotten really good, really reliable, and it's been good.
Yeah, I believe all engine companies that are making competitive racing engines for 8-scale off-road racing are going to have to start. Well, they are, right? We're starting to see these guys get 9-10 minute pits, and you're going to probably have to do that at some point at some of these, especially like an hour-long race and all that type of stuff. So we have enough power, we have enough speed. Now it's about getting that mileage, right? And it does come down to the whole package, not just the engine. And of course, it comes down to this, your throttle finger, too.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting. Well, it's good to see you working with them and getting things better. How are we starting to see more people picking them up and using them in the USA?
Yeah, overall, I think my best selling one is actually a model that's a little bit older, the Dragon 4, because I have a really, really good price point on it as a combo. And so it kind of reaches a good subset of the market that doesn't want to spend a lot, but still wants really good competitive engine. So that's probably my best seller. But the new Falcon, everybody that gets it's loving it. Just need to get more people to try it.
Absolutely. But go over to lutzinator.com because you have a whole bunch of new
LutzRC.com, yeah.
LutzRC.com. I'm sorry. Lutzinator is your
that was I used to have a website named Lutzinator, but I've combined that because I had a blog and that, and I combined it all into one, LutzRC.com. So I have my blog on there, all my race recaps from every event, all my setup sheets, and then have my store as well with all the products, the Smart Workshop and Alpha. And I sell the Smart Workshop, the headsets, the vacuum pumps, the glow igniters. Yeah.
The glow igniter is awesome. I need to get me one.
They're awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. I mean, I need to get on the glue. I don't have a glow igniter. I need to buy one at one point.
I just got the premium one back in stock yesterday, so
I will have to spend some money. With you. But you've always been that hustler. You've always been an RC racer with the business on the side. So let's also, you have 4 children. Your wife is, I know you do your mother-in-law helps you out because your wife is, she's ill quite often. So I just don't know how you do all of this, man. How do you manage all of this stuff?
Yeah, it's hard, especially recently, more and more. Just it's built. The kids are getting older now. So obviously, they want to spend more time with me, and so I'm like always feeling torn apart every direction between work and the children and my wife and everyone. And so I don't do back-to-back races anymore. Like I do my best to, unless it's like an absolute necessity, but I try to just do every other at most. and I'm trying to wean off some of the longest races. So I do need to spend more time with the family as well. So fortunately, so far, all my sponsors have had no problem and are supportive and everything. And yeah, it's a big balancing act because obviously family does come first. So I've had to miss a race because everyone was sick except for me, but I had to miss to stay home and take care of them, and just take it day by day.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We had this conversation prior to that, and I think what a lot of people you see comments like, "Why doesn't this guy come club race with us?" And like talking about a pro drive and all that stuff. I think people that don't work in this industry can't fathom that it's work at the same time. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And our jobs, you obviously travel more than me, but our jobs, what we do is on the weekend, right? When everybody's off. So people are coming to the race because that's what they like, and that's their vacation, and that's their getaway. But for people like you, people like me who are there in a work capacity, it is still a job at the end of the day. And you think about it, that limits your weekends with your family. That limits your weekends with, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this is part of it, part of the sacrifice, right? And of course, there's other people that have jobs that work on the weekend. I'm not saying that I'm not comparing it to that, but I'm just saying my point is when you really step back and look at it, it's no different from any other type of shift work, a job that requires you to work on the weekends. It just so happens to be in a hobby or sport that many other people participate in and do it for enjoyment.
Right. And it's not just, we have the travel. So if you have a 5-day event, a large event, you have 2 days on either side, your travel days that you're flying, going through airports and getting to airports. And that's all draining as well. And then you come home and you're rebuilding cars, you're doing the social media, you're putting setup sheets up, you're helping customers, and it's all part of it. But it's a lot. It's a very busy job. Yep.
It's 24/7.
You gotta definitely put some roadblocks there at times, but yeah.
I struggle with that myself. I think I came back off my 5-week tour and I've spent the last 4 weeks behind my computer screen.
Yeah.
In fact, I have 2 more recording sessions after you today. So there we go. How old are your kids, by the way?
We got a 15, 13, 8, and 7.
I have a 13. He just went 13. And he's at that, don't talk to me, I'm playing games mode. And then my daughter, she's 6. And I have 2, and that's a handful. So you know what, man? No way. I couldn't do it. No more than 2. No more than 2.
Yeah, well, we did 2 pairs. So you saw like 15, 13, 8, and 7.
I saw that.
They kind of play together, entertain each other, and so that's a big help.
It is beautiful. Family's beautiful, man. Family's beautiful, and what people don't see is that they suffer with when you go away. You're not there. You're missing events and all that type of stuff. So this is, I think, if people can think of it in that capacity, yes, this is an exciting opportunity, and maybe a few people in the world get to do this for a living, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about it. I love what I'm doing, and I enjoy it, and I'm sure you do as well. But it still has its drawbacks, and it's positive and negatives. That you kind of have to help them outweigh each other and balance each other. So I can feel you on that, man, especially when you have children, right? This is, I think the pro RC racer life is definitely for a younger single, definitely got to be single or no kids to really, not to be successful, but
happy to be at the top. I think to be at the very, very top, to put the dedication in, to do that, you do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are anomalies. Like I would say Mayfield is one of them. He has 2 kids, and he's still at the top. And look, you're still at the top of your game, right? I think that you can. I mean this respectfully, and I don't take it the wrong way. I think we can either be in the B main of a race, or you can be top 3 of a race, or win a race. Yeah. I think that's you. Obviously, there's gaps in between where you can be a top 10 or just out of the top 5 and all that stuff. But I think you have the potential to be a winner or a top 3 at any race you go to be honest, because you still have the competitive edge. I still think you have the driving skills. You told me at the last race that you've been focused on nutrition and stuff like that. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. How has that helped your racing career and your racing, drinking water, eating right, and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, we've been going deeper and deeper into the whole nutrition part of it. And so now trying to avoid seed oils has been a big part. And that's in almost everything. And a lot of these things cause inflammation in your body. And obviously that can affect your eyes and whatnot. So I just went actually to the eye doctor yesterday for an annual checkup. Still got 20/15 vision. So still pretty much perfect. So that's still good. And so I attribute some of that to the diet, just trying to avoid now cutting out almost all sugars, all artificial sugars, and just trying to, maybe fruit sugar's okay, but just trying to stay on top of things that way, exercising a bit more, trying to have like the cardio a little bit higher and the strength to be able to, stand there for that hour-long main and have that focus. That's in the heat. We're going to be doing that this week. It's going to be probably mid-90s in Texas and humid, and some people might be suffering. So just having, I think, the proper diet will definitely help, and just keeping me having that edge and at least not losing some of my abilities because I'm not feeling well.
It's funny you said about focus and concentration, because I remember I asked you that. I think it was SIC. We talked about it. And then it's funny because I went and I interviewed Tebow shortly after talking to you about it. And he kind of said the same thing. He says it's his concentration, and he says he's fine in the 5-minute qualifiers and all that type of stuff, but it's concentrating for that time in the main that's been one of his biggest problems, and trying, as he's gotten older, and trying to focus on. So it's interesting that you say that. It's interesting you say maybe it's something there we ain't examining, because I truly believe at some point we're going to see RC racers doing hand-eye coordination, more mental exercises.
Yeah,
because
I do juggling a little bit here and there. I'll do like figure 8 circles following your thumb, and there's a few different things you can do, to kind of coordinate left and right brain. And
yeah, my buddy Paul, the Race Stars Perlin guy, he's deep into that. He's been working with Pecco. I don't know if he still is, but he was working with Pecco with that and all that stuff. I think he's onto something, and I think there's something there. And I think we're going to start seeing RC racers, if you want, just like we saw evolution. People in Formula One weren't really out there worried about nutrition and exercise till Ayrton Senna started. He was one of the first guys to do that. Like, I'm sure there were other people that did that, and someone's gonna chime in and say, no, he wasn't. But I read his biography, and he said when he started taking his nutrition and physical health better, it made him a much better. Obviously, it's a physical sport. Made him a much better racer, and we started to see that shift. Even in NASCAR, we went from guys that look like me in NASCAR to small, fit guys, because it's it was a big boy, good old boy racing type of thing, and it was like drink beer and go race. So I think we're going to
people start taking it more and more serious, and then just have that evolution in that. Yeah,
I think we're going to start. I give it 5 years. I think we're going to start seeing all racers doing something like that, some sort of mental exercises or anything like that to work on your focus. That's where because yes, being physically fit and doing things like that is definitely an advantage. But at the end of the day, RC is a mental thing, right? You can't go out there and lift weights and become a better RC racer. It will help you be a better person. But in comparison, like if you play football, you can go out there, lift weights, train, and become a better football player, right? It will help your ability to do that. But in RC, because it's not physical, yes, it probably helps you to focus, and physically standing up there as you get, like we talked about, but it's not like other sports where that are physically demanding, where it will, like, obviously if you make yourself stronger, you're going to be a better football player.
Right.
So it's
a lot of mental. Yeah. A lot of mental.
Yeah. RC's a strange phenomenon to me. Strange.
I mean, you even got people that come from motocross and whatnot or full-size racing, and they come to RC and they're more nervous racing RC cars than they are the full-size stuff because you're not in it. It's more mental than being able to feel it and having that feedback.
Absolutely. All right. I told you I wasn't going to keep you long, but we have to talk about the MP11. You trip over to the Kyosho Masters. Now, there we go. Now, as much as I've been a Kyosho hater, I've always loved the Kyosho Masters. When I think of European tracks, I think of this track. It's AstroTurf, it's brick, it's wood. I don't think there was any dirt. What's
Not
well?
this year, no. I guess in the past it used to, but
Mhm.
it's slowly changed the surfaces a little bit.
25th iteration of this race over there in France has been at the same place. This is your first time attending?
Yep.
And bump went. How was it? Did you enjoy it?
It was awesome. Yeah, I thought the track was a ton of fun. You know, initially it was going to be really challenging because there's two fast chicanes, one in the straight back and one right in the front. And you're trying to hit it nearly full speed, but they're a little sharp. You have to wiggle just a little bit to get through them. And if you miss, you're going flying or you're getting shot into the wall to the left on the front one. It's exciting. And then the pavers on a number of the corners are the highest bite portion. And yeah, you really got to set up for that high grip there. And most all the surfaces are pretty high grip as long as it's not raining. We got a couple sprinkles, and then it starts getting slippery on the wood and the Astro especially. But luckily, for the most part, we had really good weather.
What would you say to somebody? Because I remember when I posted it up, and I like those type of race. I like those type of Euro style tracks, and you heard people saying there's no dirt and all that type of stuff. Like, just because there's no dirt and there's maybe no big crazy jumps doesn't mean that track is easy to drive on. Maybe I want listeners to maybe compare that racing on that surface and that type of track to racing in the USA.
Yeah, I mean, diff wise, we were at least double on all the oils than any track I'd be on in the US as far as diff weights. So the grip level is much higher. But you have all the jumps, and you're kind of actually lowering the roll center everywhere to get the car to stay lower and roll into the corners and not traction roll. That was the biggest thing, is trying to get rid of traction roll on that track. But I mean, would you want somewhere that rains regularly? Would you rather have a track that you can't race on all the time that's wet, and then you got to spend hours and hours and hours trying to repair it? Or this, and they say if it rains, they can have it ready in an hour to race again, even if after a really hard rain. So in locations that it does rain, I mean, it's a great alternative, I think. And I thought the track was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's what people don't realize, right? Is that we see these type of tracks over in Europe, even the oil tracks. The oil tracks are like that as well. They don't let the water permeate, so you can brush it off, right? It's slippery.
Yeah.
It's really slippery if it gets wet, but
It's wet, yeah.
It's different. You know, in Europe, they don't change track much. Because it's more expensive. A lot of these tracks aren't on private property per se. They're kind of government type of property. Not all of them. And they do put the AstroTurf on and all that type of stuff to cope with the weather that they have, because Europe's very much north and they get bad weather. That's why we see there's different type of style of tracks in Spain and Italy that are more, I would say, bigger jumps, more US style, but still with European flavor. And I get so frustrated when I see people talk about this type of race. There's no jumps and there's this. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to make you a better racer. Go try it. It's like off-road can be various things. Like, it doesn't, it's off-road. Go try something different. That's all I can say, Right. What tires did you use out there on that type of track, by the way?
Actually, clay tires work really well. So clay bar tires. So we were running the radar for the most part. Yeah.
Cool. Now let's talk about the MP11, because that was a pretty awesome reveal there. I saw that picture and I saw the Kyosho people, and I was like, I was like this, and I was just like, look at all these all the Kyosho loyals were excited. It caused a lot of buzz. I'm actually excited about it. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. I know. So I want to start with Kanai, because I'm trying. I kind of, from what I can gather, is throughout. Obviously, look, there's no disrespect to Kanai. He's a fantastic designer. He's won a world championships. He's been around and doing this for a long time. It seems like they kind of went away from Kanai having the end all, like this is how it goes. This is how I'm going to do it, and we're going to do it like this, to maybe a more of a cooperation from various different designers. Because I heard like Renault and some guys in Europe were involved in this. Obviously, I even heard that you guys were involved in it, testing it and trying out different things. And it's a whole new design team. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that and how that all came to fruition and worked out. And maybe some of the changes on the new car as well.
Yeah, I don't know everything on how it came to be, but I do know that this time, for the first time ever, they did ask for input from the US drivers, from the European drivers. They asked like for a list of our number one things that we wanted, or the top 10 things we wanted to see in the new car. And so a lot of our feedback is obviously either for performance or what we hear customers, what they want and what they want to see in the car. And so that was like a priority for them this year. And I believe it was Kanai and I think one other engineer there that worked hand in hand to make it and design it. And they did it from like the ground up. It's all new, like 99% new parts. So all different, all optimized, easier access for all the diffs. The hinge pin can all, up to the times what a lot of the other companies have done. And so split center diff, and then he's been testing it. I think that's why he wasn't at the Kyosho Masters this year. Like they did everything they could to get that sample to that race, because it's like they just rushed to get that sample there so they could release it and show it to everyone. I think that's why Kanai stayed back, because he's still testing it and trying to get it ready and get it out for us as soon as possible. We're supposed to get it, the top guys, in early July. And we're hoping for actually a public release, I think, in August. So that's the goal at the moment. So Kanai is working hard, like at the track every day, out there testing and getting it ready.
Awesome. So he's still involved to an extent, but not to the point where he's like, if I want this is what's going to happen. And to what I can gather,
they took feedback. This time. Yeah, that's like the first time. Yeah, because basically he went to the Worlds in Spain the first time and just saw at the Kyosho, he saw their car was a bit off pace, corner speed compared to a lot of the European tracks. I think that's where Kyosho's maybe lacked the most over the last couple of years, is on those European styles. And so he was able to finally see that in person. And I think that's what kind of made these changes come out and allow him to ask questions of, especially the European guys, what do we need to see in this car to get that corner speed or to get that speed that we need on those kind of tracks.
Well, I think that plays into that. What I said in my video is that they kind of it comes back to my point. They got away from the legacy, just relying on this same tried and true. And I remember seeing Kanai at the Worlds. I remember him partying with the Mexicans in the opening ceremonies. I'll never forget that. So it's good to see, like, getting away from that legacy and moving forward. I got to ask you, what is one of your favorite new features on the new car?
I'm excited. The narrow rear pivot, longer arms. I mean, it's going to be a complete change. It's going to be a different car. And I'm excited to try it. The split center diff will be nice. All the diff access being a lot easier. There's just a lot to like about it. So I'm just excited to get it in my hands and get out to the track and start developing some setups for it.
It caused a lot of buzz, man. And, congratulations to Kyosho, because they have they have reinvented themselves, I think, to an extent, in a time in the 1/8 scale market where it's very difficult to do something. I keep coming back to this because we have so many chassis in this market, right? So much more than 10 scale. And it's very hard to do, but they do have that. They have that prestige. They have that legacy, which they can always have, and nobody can take that away from them. But they've also modernized to an extent, and they put their heads down, hired people like you, hired people like Renault Savoia as well. Berton, very fast racer, still in his very competitive years of racing. Barufalo, still fast. Maybe, I wouldn't say going to the end of his career, but maybe Barufalo can still do well. But Barufalo is just mad. I love Barufalo. I love the way he drives. Exciting. One of the most exciting races to watch. It's full chat for Barufalo everywhere. And I like the direction that Kyosho is going. I do want to touch on the 10 scale, because I know a lot of people are talking about that. And I know a lot of people are excited and saying they want to see a 10 scale come out. But it seems on a competitive 8 scale racing side, their focus seems to be on the 8 scale platform. Maybe a 10 scale in the future, but to do 10 scale, you have to go get drivers. You have to be competitive. You have to, especially in the USA, you have to be competitive in both stock and mod. So anything that we can probably tell the Kyosho people out there about the 10 scale, maybe we will see that, or is it, let's get the 8 scale going and then maybe in the future 10 scale, because I think they need a new platform for 10 scale.
Right. I don't know much about the 10 scale side. I've really been focused on the 8 scale. I mean, I know they have that 2-wheel that either just came out or just about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just did. And some guys, I saw some posts about a guy in Europe that just ran and, won his local or regional event that he was at. So, I mean, the car is probably capable
Mm-hmm.
on some level. But I know right now their number one focus is the new 8 scale buggy, the Nitro. And then obviously they'll want to be doing the Ebuggy. And then you got the Truggies as well, hopefully. So you just got to keep pushing forward to get all those platforms out. And yeah, there's a lot of cars to make.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget E-Truggy, because you were one of the first. I am all about E-Truggy now. Love E-Truggy, but you were one of the first pro guys for the longest while to do E-Truggy. Like, it would be you at a race that was the only guy really doing E-Truggy, and now I believe that E-Truggy is more popular than Nitro Truggy.
It's definitely possible. I mean, especially the Southeast. I mean, that region really seems to adopt the E-Truggy very much. Obviously, the electric classes in general promote you don't have to have a pit guy, so you can kind of go to the race by yourself, and it's a little bit more plug and play, a little easier. But the E-Trugs are a lot of fun. Obviously, they take the easier to driveness of the Truggy, but then you also have the not needing a pit guy of the Nitro. So that's probably why E-Truggy is taking over Nitro Truggy.
Yeah, and it does create
That power is fun.
It creates very bad habits, because I love them. This E-Truggy, I think the E-Truggy are the best handling cars out there, out of all the cars.
Oh, it could be definitely the easiest to drive and to get out of trouble and get into trouble at the same time.
They look so. There's so much power, right? They look.
Yeah.
I give it about 2 more years, maybe 3, and it's gonna be like the viable class that it is, and we're gonna see probably at these races. Like I eventually assume we're gonna see a pro E-Truggy class at maybe a pro E-Truggy class at the race time events and stuff like that, because I know at DNC in Silver State it's big, because obviously track time is a big thing there, and it's another thing. But with the popularity of the E-Truggy class now, and just that ease, not having to tune another engine and all that type of stuff, I think it's going to be inevitable. Where I know all the Nitro guys will be like, Lefty, you've completely gone against Nitro's the glory. No, Nitro Buggy is definitely the glory, but I think the ease of getting people into RC, E-Buggy, E-Truggy, and then hopefully they get into Nitro. But I definitely think we're going to see the rise of E-Truggy and the slow, I wouldn't say demise, but the slow, each Nitro Truggy is just going to go down farther and farther. It's still going to be raced at big races and stuff like that, like it kind of is now. And it also depends on coast. I know you go West Coast, Nitro Truggy at the DNC, it's huge, right? You go to the East Coast, yeah, it's still a class and intermediate sportsman, all that stuff, but E-Truggy is just flying. All right, I'm gonna end this. My question would be, how old are you now, Mr. Lutz?
40.
So you're 40 plus. What does the future hold for Ryan Lutz in RC?
Hopefully, as long as the sponsors are willing to keep going with it, I got at least one more year next year for sure. That I'm pretty much signed through most of them. But I'm definitely trying to, like I said, cut back on some of the biggest races. So I might not do DNC next year, things like that. The races that are really long, those are really, really hard on a family, especially. So maybe a few more larger regional events, and still hitting, the nationals and a lot of the race time things that are, 4-day, not as long, and after next year, we'll have all next year to think about, pray about it, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. And my last question is going to be, since the last time we talked, which was quite a few years ago, what do you think of the industry and the direction that we're going right now?
I mean, obviously RC in general, people in the world that have RC cars is greater than ever with the bashing market and whatnot, and the access. I think people know more about it with the internet and YouTube and the videos we put out. They get tens of thousands, millions of views sometimes for some of them. So I think people are more aware of it. And just, I guess, there's so many options out there nowadays. The world's changing very fast with technology. I just got to keep it exciting, show that it's a lot of fun, to try to get more people into it. But I think some companies maybe have to go out in a way as far as how many there is for chassis sponsors and chassis companies. There's so many, and it's difficult. But it's also getting kind of easier to make a company. You can kind of control P, control print from China or something to make your own and start your own. And there's just so many. So it's going to get more difficult for some, but we'll see. Some just have to adapt to what we have coming and create good branding, good image, and get a loyal following.
Yeah, and I think that the more content that we produce with RC racing content, when I say RC racing content, we're going to see, the goal is obviously to get more people racing, right? And if we just don't know that, a lot of people just don't know. I see this all the time. I always wear a podcast shirt, right? And so people see podcasts, like, oh, you have a podcast. And then it's like, whenever I'm traveling, oh yeah, I do this. And next, my phone's out. One day, I truly believe that RC will get its 15 minutes of fame. At some point, we'll get there. People will know what we do. I hope we're around for that. I hope it happens in our time. But it's going to be people like you that made this happen. And I look forward to that day because I think it's really going to happen. I'm glad you came on the podcast. It was, you're one of my favorite people, not just RC racers, but always good to chat to you and have a chat with you. I'm so glad you're still in RC because I said this many years ago. RC racing without Ryan Lutz would not be the same. I'm glad you've gotten other opportunities to continue to race. Also, molding your racing around your family situation as well is very important because they have to be happy. And I hope that we see you in this industry for many years to come in some form because I think you are one of the racers personalities that have earned the right to still be in RC and make a living of it past your racing years.
I appreciate that, Keenan. Yeah, I would like to. Been doing it my whole life. I've been racing since I was 7 nonstop, and professionally since I was 20. Got a late start in that regard, but yeah, it's been 20 years now of doing this professionally. So I've been blessed to do it, and yeah, hopefully can continue.
Absolutely. I want to wish you good luck at the Nationals, you and Bump and all the Kyosho guys. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I'm very impressed with what Kyosho is doing, their new way of thinking and modernizing and getting more with the times. Kudos to them and kudos to everybody involved. And I wish you guys all the luck with the MP11 platform. And yeah, man, it's good to have you in here. And I look forward to seeing you probably at Wicked Weekend, having a chat with you. And keep up the good work, my friend.
Appreciate it, Keenan. Thank you. And you too. This podcast and what was the name of your Simple Thoughts thing that you did yesterday? Yeah. Lefty Simple Thoughts. Those are great.
From a simple brain comes simple thoughts. There we go.
Maybe I could do that too, probably.
All right. Hey, thank you, my friend. I'm not going to hold you up. Good luck. Safe travels to the Nationals. And hey, you never know. We might have you back on there as a winner. You never know. You never know. Awesome. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks, Keenan.
Thank you, Ryan, for your time. Good luck to you at the World Nationals as well as Feelong and all the Kyosho drivers. It's always a good time, and Ryan Lutz is on the podcast, and I'm so glad he's still in RC and not doing it part-time. I want to say thank you to all of you guys for the support. We can't do it without you. Remember, June is Men's Mental Health Month. I know there's not a lot of hype about this, but it is a thing. It actually is Men's Mental Health Month. I know we don't see much about that, but I'm trying to promote it. Don't worry. We're men. We matter too. We can talk about it. It's okay not to be okay. June, Men's Mental Health Month. And also, happy Father's Day to everybody out there who celebrated Father's Day. It wasn't Father's Day here for me in the Dominican Republic. We celebrate that in July. But being as I'm from Bermuda, I kind of recognized it. So to all the fathers out there being good fathers and all the fathers out there that aren't allowed to be fathers, happy Father's Day to you as well. I want to say a big shout out to all the NNRC squad around the world. Good luck to everybody there at the World Nationals. Hope you guys have fun. I can't wait. And I'll be watching. As this comes out. Probably Friday. So already probably in qualifying or a Nitro buggy. I can't remember. But don't forget also, everybody, if you want to help this channel, you can do it simply by hitting that like, sub, notification button. It's absolutely free. Leave a comment down here as well. Who do you think is going to win the Nationals? Let us know here. We probably would have got Ebuggy and E-Truggy already done by this time. But we all know that the glory is Nitro, and that's what we worry about here. Who's going to win the Nitro buggy class? Who's going to be your top 3 at the Nationals this week? Let us know in the comments when this comes out. Also, hitting that sub, like, and notification button really helps us. We got to 7,000. We're almost to 7,100. Let's keep going. Let's get to 8,000 subs on the No Name RC podcast channel. If you're listening to this on audio only, I understand that. Just come over, please, and just hit that sub, like, and notification button. I know some people like to just listen to it as well. We do have that option there as well, where you have the audio only podcast as well. 11/6/2025. Never forget that day, anybody. It's the day Max admitted he was wrong. With that said, I'd like to say a big shout out to all our sponsors. We can't do this without you guys, the NNRC squad, as well as the patrons and YouTube members. If you wish to support this podcast a little bit extra financially, you can. You get early perks such as early access. But a big shout out to these companies. They are J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuel, Latara Racing, Dollar Hobbies, ML Hobbies, Side Piece Racing, Get Shit Done Coffee, Elite RC Productions, Mayako, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and Call RC. We have links for all of those in the written description of this podcast. We have some affiliate links where we get a little slice. There's some coupon codes where you save some money as well. And some are just links. If you let them know that you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast, we greatly appreciate it. With that said, Nitro is the glory. Ebuggy pays the bills. And E-Truggy is the just pure fun. Lefty is out. Good luck to everybody at the National. I hope you guys all enjoy it. We got Nationals coming up. And right after that, we got the Euros coming up. So exciting 2 weeks of racing. And of course, don't forget, Wicked Weekend at the end of July. Lefty is out.